Greetings, Iain from RTO here. Welcome to another album ranking. Normally say welcome to the week, but we started yesterday, didn't we, with that little surprise that I did with Richard McCook on Led Zeppelin. It's nice to throw in a surprise for you. But today we're back on schedules, and we're going to start the week with some prog. This is not a reviewer's request. It's called Iain's request. And we're going to look at the albums of Transatlantic. Transatlantic are described as a multinational progressive rock supergroup that consists of Neil Morse, ex-Spock's Beard on the keyboards and vocals, Ronnie Stolt from Capaya and the Flower Kings on guitars and backing vocals, Mr. Peter Druvavas from Marillion, who does a bit of bass, of course, and some backing vocals and some vocals. And on the drums, the legendary Mr. Mike Portnoy, ex-Dream Theater, Sons of Apollo, a man that appears on so many albums and on all sorts. He's a really good drummer, my favourite drummer at the moment. Great lineup. They were formed in 1999 as a side project, but they disbanded in 2002, but they have all, now and again, they come back together when they've got time and continue making great music. They've only released 5 albums since 1999, but then again, these are musicians that are so busy with other projects. But it's always, when you know there's a Transatlantic album coming out, it is always great. So let's have a look at these 5 albums. So coming in at number 5, we have the first album. It was released in 2000 and it's simply called SMPT E. Stolt, Morse, Portnoy and Druvavas. First song is a real epic called All of Above. It's my favourite track on it, and it's one of my favourite tracks by the band. Split into I think this one's split into 6 movements. The first one's called Full Moon Rising. As you expect with nice prog, you get a great start, lovely keyboards from Neil Morse, then you get Mike coming in on the drums, a great bass line from Pete, throw in a great guitar solo, and this is all in the first 2 or 3 minutes. Terrific way to start this piece. Then we get the second piece called October Winds. Great singing pieces on this, the keyboard and that lovely Hammond sound that you get. Great drumming on that piece. Then we get Camouflaged in Blue. This piece starts with a great Ronnie Stolt guitar solo. Really nice vocal from Neil. Terrific little piece as well. And then we get Half and Alive, parts 4 and 5. I just love the textures on this from the keyboard. You get some great vocal as well, and I think Pete does a little bit of the singing on that as well. Really good. And then it goes back into the first part, Full Moon Rising. We've come full circle on this song, and it's just a great way to end the piece with another stonking guitar solo from Ronnie Stolt. Second track on here is a track called We All Need Some Light. I love the acoustic guitar on this. It's really mellow and a fantastic vocal from Neil. Misty Train is the next one. This is straight out of the 1970s. Brilliant. The drumming from Mike Portnoy on this is absolutely incredible. Throw in a great bass line from Pete as well. It drives the song along. These are great musicians. Again, the harmonies from these guys are incredible. They're all good singers in their own right. Terrific track. Then we get another epic called My New World. This is a short one, 16 minutes. This starts off quite orchestral, with light, delicate cymbals from Mike, Then we get this sort of build up. It's very early Genesis sounding, round about, you know, somewhere between 1971 and 73. It's that sound, and then you get this lovely keyboard from Neil. It's very 60s sounding organ. It's just great. It's a progressive jam, near enough. Pete's bass playing is terrific. He is a great bass player, and when you got a great bass player and a great drummer, it's great. Throw in a little guitar solo from Ronnie, builds up to a crescendo. Really, really great track. And then the final track is actually a cover. It's a Procol Harum cover called In Held 'Twas. Again, this is split up into 4 little pieces. We have glimpses of Nirvana. This is a spoken thing. I think it's Peter Trevavas speaking. Sounds like him. Sort of sets the story. Then we get, of course, In the Autumn of My Madness. The interplay between Neil and Ronnie on this is brilliant. Great drums from Mike, and the keyboard work. I mean, Neil Morse great on this. I mean, you've got, this is Gary Brooker, genius, and Neil does a solid job on it. Then we get Look to Your Soul. The vocal from Neil and Pete is great on this. They sort of sing it between them. The piano work is great. Then we have Grand Finale, that instrumental piece that ends this great song, and they do this song justice. So, you know, when you're going to do great epics by great bands like Procol Harum, you've got to really nail it, and Transatlantic nailed it on that track. Like all Transatlantics, this is superb. I love playing this album. I play them all a lot, and I think it's just great. Modern 21st century prog at its best. And I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 9.3. Okay, then coming in at number 4, we have their second album, released in 2001, A Bridge Across Forever. This opens up with another epic, and it's called Duel with the Devil. This one is split up into 5 movements. The first movement is called Motherless Child. You get some very gentle strings in this, and then the band comes in, and then it automatically goes into a great little solo from Ronnie Stoll. Really good way to start this piece. That goes straight into Walk Away. Again, it's one of them great harmony vocal pieces with little delicate touches on the guitar and drums. Then we get the Silence of the Night, part 3. This is gentle but a nice acoustic sounding. Great harmonies again here. Pete Trevavas is a great backing singer. We know that because of his work with Marillion. Great. Then we get into part 4, which is You're Not Alone. I love this piece. Again, we got that great rich bass from Pete. Mike being very gentle on the drums. Keyboards from Neil is good. And then you get this jazzy guitar from Ronnie Stoll. Terrific piece. Then we get the last piece, Almost Home. They've got a choir on this. They've got harmonies. And it's a really great way to end this track. Then we have another bit of a epic, and this one's called Sweet Charlotte Pike. Again, this one is broken up into 5 pieces, sorry. First piece is called If She Runs. This starts off with a great bass line from Pete. Mike comes in on the drums, and then everyone else joins in, and we got some really nice acoustic guitar. Nice way to start this track. Mr. Wonderful, this gets really rocky. The guitar work from Ronnie Stoll on this is superb. Some good riffs. We get some Mellotron on here from Neil. What more do you want? Then we get Lost and Found Part 1. It's got little bits of guitar and keyboards. Really is a little interesting piece. It's not very long. Then we get Temples of God. This is very 60s. It's got a weird, wonderful keyboard effect. Really good. And then we go back, it goes into a Motherless Child, which is obviously from Duel with the Devil, and If She Runs Reprise. They sort of mix the two tracks together, and it's very, very good. And it sounds something like from Supertramp. Very mellow bass line, and you get that nice sort of electric-y piano. Excellent, excellent track. And it's how they've combined two pieces from two songs. Very, very clever. Then we get the title track, which is called Bridge Across Forever. Really nice piece. This is a short track in there for them. It's about 5 minutes. The piano and vocal from Neil Morse is absolutely superb. Excellent stuff. Then we get another epic. And this one is called Stranger in Your Soul. This one's split into 4 movements. The first one's called Sleeping Wide Awake. Another track that starts on with some lovely strings. I do like how they start some of these. Then we get Lost and Found Part 2, piece from the previous track, and it goes straight back into the track. Great riffs in this bit. It's a little bit more heavier. Fantastic vocals from Neil and drumming Mike. Superb. Awakening the Stranger. This starts off with a lovely piece of piano work from Neil. Brings everything down after the frantic third part with the heaviness. This sort of is a nice little breather and a nice vocal as well. Then we get Slide. And then we come back into life. Swirly keyboard from Neil. Comes in that lovely bass from Pete. One of my favourite pieces of this track. Then you get Stranger in Your Soul. This reminds me of the final pieces of Supper's Ready, actually. And you get that nice crescendo, and then that bit stops, and then you get a little bit of piano and it fades out. My favourite track on this album, without a doubt. Okay, and then you get a bonus disc with this one, and it's worth a mention because it's got some great covers on here. They do Shine On You Crazy Diamond. Superb version. One thing with Transatlantic, when they do covers, they're all good, and I like that version of it. Really good. Then you get a bit of studio chat, and then we get And I Love Her from the Beatles. There's not much of the song here, it's just more of a jammy sort of thing. Then they do a nice little studio jam. They call themselves Trans-Pacific for this track. It's Smoke on the Water, nice little bit of jamming. Then you get Dance with the Devil, which is a demo mix. And it's really nice to hear this raw. It's a great track. Really strong stuff. Then we get Ronnie's demo bits. This is just like little bits of guitar and from Ronnie, and Neil steps in with a bit of keyboard. So what can you say about this album? It's just another great album. Progressive, same as very early Genesis. There's not a bad track on here, even the covers. The demos sound great. It's just an all-round album, and I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 9.4. Okay, then, coming at number 3. This is the most current album. 5th album, released in 2021. It's called, and it's The Absolute Universe, of course. Now this comes out in lots of versions. I've got 2. We've got the Forevermore extended version, and then you get the unabridged version called The Breath of Life. Basically the same album, but abridged version. You get an abridged version and the thing. So I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I'm just going to go through the tracks on the extended version. So the first thing is called Overture. This has got a mixture of strings and keyboards. Great solo from Ronnie Stoll. Pretty cool track. Heart Like a Whirlwind. Love the keyboard start with this. Some nice guitar work again. And this is a sort of a combination between Yes and early Marillion. I'm talking 1983 Marillion. It's a combination of both two great prog bands. Really, really good. Higher Than Morning. Again, I love Pete's bass line on this. Neil's keyboards are terrific. Harmonies on this are great. Good little song. The Darkness in the Light. Again, you've got this nice bass line that runs through the track. Little bits of guitar from Ronnie. Mike's drumming is impeccable. Throw in Neil singing. Got a good song, really. Swing High, Swing Low. Nothing to do with the song you sing at Twickenham. But I do like this acoustic number. Nice harmonies. The combination of the keyboards and the acoustic guitars work well on this track. Bully. This is a very short track, but it continues on from Swing High, Swing Low. You've got some Mellotron sound on here and a great bass line. Sort of continuation. Then we get Rainbow Sky. I like this track. It's very 60s. Very psychedelic, sort of his 60s, late 60s rock track. Nice harmonies on this terrific track. Looking for the Light. I love the heavy start with this. You've got that rich Hammond organ. The drums are brilliant. A great guitar solo from Ronnie. Terrific track. Then we get my favourite track on this album, The World We Used to Know. This starts off with an amazing drum piece from Mike. I reckon he's the best progressive drummer alive, without a doubt. So much in the vein of Neil Peart this is. The bass line from Pete on this is just unbelievable. Again, this just sounds like something from the 70s. And the guitar work from Ronnie on this sounds so much like Andy Latimer from Camel. In fact, this whole track reminds me of something Camel would do. It's just a great track and I love it. Love that track to bits. Then we get disc 2. And this opens up with The Sun Comes Out Today. Again, we got some Hammond organ. Very Rick Wakeman style. Very, very good. Then we get a little thing called a prelude called Love Made Away. Nice little acoustic piece. A little bit of electric guitar thrown in. Nice little vocal. Which goes straight into Owl Howl. This is my second favourite track on this album. It's quite heavy progressive rock. Love the keyboards and guitars in this. Again, it sounds a combination of Camel and bits of King Crimson in this. It's just brilliant. It's just, the bass line from Pete is amazing. It's just great, freaky prog. This is terrific track. Solitude, great track. A bit gentle, nice gentle keyboards in this, acoustic guitar and a fantastic vocal from Neil. Belong, just one of those weird starts from start to finish. The bass line drives this from Pete, and the little bits of intricate guitar work from Ronnie, very, very good. Then The Lonesome Rebel, nice gentle acoustic number, which is really good. It's got an amazing guitar solo on it. Looking for the Light, a bit of reprisal on here. The keyboards and the guitar are great. And it's just fantastic progressive rock music. Then we get The Greatest Story, Never Ends. More great guitar work here from Ronnie. These are great musicians. And when they play together, it's brilliant. Then we get the full version of Love Made Away. That's a nice gentle piece that builds up with nice harmonies. The keyboards are great. It just builds up into a crescendo again, and then like all, I think all great progressive rock tracks, it just fades away. Great album. I'll just swap between one day if I want to listen to it, I'll play that version, and then another day I will play the abridged version. It's just an amazing album, and they put 3 versions of this out actually. You get this. I mean, this is a concept album about the world's struggle. You get this 64 bridge version, a 90-minute version, and a 96 extended deluxe that combines bits of everything. Very bold move, but it's a great album. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 9.5. Okay, then coming in at number 2, we got the 4th album now, released in 2014, Kaleidoscope. First track, again an epic, Into the Blue. It's my favourite track on this album. Piece 1 is called Overture, a typical start to a transatlantic track. Some violin, some strings, then the band comes in that great prog tradition. Second part is called The Dream and the Healer. This is a nice gentle piece, some very delicate keyboards and a great vocal from Neil. A New Beginning. This is the heaviest part of this song. You got them great guitar riffs from Ronnie, some great drumming from Mike, hard and heavy, and then you get this rich Hammond sounding keyboard from Neil. Brilliant. Written Into Your Heart again starts up with this crescendo with drumming from Mike Portnight, and it ends with just a great Ronnie Stoltz solo. Then we get a reprise of The Dreamer and the Healer. We go straight back into the song and it just fades out into nothing as usual. It's just a terrific way to end the way. Then we get a track called Shine. Now this is very psychedelic. I love the keyboard sound that Neil produces on that. A bass line from Pete that's just incredible. And an amazing solo from Ronnie. Brilliant track. Then we get a song called Black as the Sky. This actually is one of the most radio friendly transatlantic tracks, but it's great. Got a catchy tune, great bass line, and Neil's keyboard work is very early Meridian, script, everything up to script sounding. Really good. Beyond the Sun, beautiful song. Neil, piano, vocal. Very simple but nice. Then we get the title track, Kaleidoscope. Again, one of these epics split into 7 pieces. First bit is the overture. Just lots of keyboard swirls, very Tony Banks, excellent. Ride the Lightning. This is a Ronnie Stoltz guitar sounding, real chunky sort of sound, and then you get the voice effects as well on this. Black Gold. This is just a continuation of Ride the Lightning. More gentler though, lots of mellotron on this, which is always great to hear. Walking the Road. There's a little bit of Pete singing on this, and he does a fine job. He is a good singer. Then we get Desolation and Looking Glass. It sort of all rolls into one. Guitar work on this is very Mr. Steve Hackett in places. Ronnie Stoltz does a fine good on there. And then we get the Ride the Lightning reprise. This is even better than the opening bit. There's some wah-wah on this. And then it just builds up again, and then we get that fades out with a nice gentle solo to finish. Then we get some covers. The first one is You and I, the Yes cover. This is as good as the Yes version. Great track. Then we do an ELO track, Can't Get You Out of My Head, just as good as ELO's version. Then they do another Procol Harum cover, the Consequator, a great version of this. Ronnie's guitar solo is absolutely stunning on this. Then we get Goodbye Yellow Brick Road from Elton John. They do this version great justice. It's a very good version of the song. Then we get a Small Faces cover, Tin Soldier. This is actually one of my favourite tracks by Small Faces, and I think their version is as good as the original. It's terrific. Then they do a version of Focus's Sylvia. Again, a great version of it. I can't fault this at all. Then we get Indiscipline, which is of course a King Crimson cover. I think I might upset a few King Crimson fans now. I think Transatlantic's version of this song is better than King Crimson's. It's a terrific version of it. And then we get a version of Nights in White Satin. This is probably the best cover version of this song you'll ever get. They do it so much justice. Great way to end this album. Brilliant album, brilliant songs. The covers are some of the best covers you'll ever hear. As I've said before, Transatlantic, when they do covers, they just don't do them, they kill them. They absolutely kill the tracks and give it that great performance which they deserve, and some of them are as good as the originals. And I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 9.6. Okay, my number one album by Transatlantic, by a huge mile. This has always been my number one. The other four were hard to rank, but this was always going to be number one. It's the third album from 2009, and it's the Whirlwind. Opens up with the title track, the Whirlwind. Again, one of those epics. This one is split up. It takes literally, if it was it just takes literally one disc. It's a double album, and it's just one disc is this. So the first bit is called Overture Whirlwind. I love these tracks that start off with that wind sound. Then there's some nice little drums, some mic. Then the keyboards come in, the guitars. It's very sort of a Pink Floyd start to a song, you know, like One of These Days, that sort of thing. Then we get The Wind Blew Them All Away. I love the acoustics in this. This is very dramatic. I love the background keyboard in this. It's there, but it's not prominent, but you can hear it. Atmospheric and lovely piece with a little bit of wah-wah as well. On the Prowl. Love the bass at the beginning of this one, Pete. It just sounds dramatic. The drums is brilliant. Then you get this great jazz guitar from Ronnie Stoll. Throw in a Hammond's keyboard and you've got a great little piece. Then we get a piece called A Man Can Feel. The drum on this is brilliant. Mike's brilliant on this. Then we get some gentle guitar from Ronnie, a lovely vocal. It's a storytelling vocal, and Ronnie's guitar work over the top of the words is brilliant. Out of the Night. This is a very mid-70s sort of rock track piece, really good. Rose-Coloured Glasses. It's probably got one of the best guitar pieces on the album. I love Ronnie's guitar work on this piece, absolutely brilliant. Then we get part 7, Evermore. Gentle riffs, some great progressive sound stuff. It's just, I don't know, it's hard to describe this, but it's just absolutely progressive rock at its best. Set Us Free. All the keyboards sound like Rick Wakeman on this. It's a great sound. Lay down your life. The symphony is brilliant, but this sounds like this piece is very more down lighter version of Dream Theater without the raunchy rock. I mean, in Dream Theater you'd get John's heavy guitar. On here you get delicate guitar from Ronnie, but the drumming, of course, it's great. Sounds like Mike when he was in Dream Theater. Brilliant stuff. Pieces of Heaven. Now we go back to this piece is sort of going back to that early Yes sound. Brilliant keyboards from Neil on that. Then the next bit is called Is It Really Happening? Now there's so many bands you can pick out here that influence this piece. Bits of Camel, bits of Yes, even bits of ELP. Really good. And then we get Dancing with Eternal Glory and a Whirlwind reprise. The first bit, Dancing with the Eternal Glory, nice guitar, very pastiche, and then it goes straight back into Whirlwind, builds up that crescendo, and then it just fades out like all, as I've said, and great progressive rocks do. It fades out into nothing. Brilliant. And on here you get a special edition bonus disc. And the first track on here is called Spinning. This is nearly 10 minutes long. Again, it's got a Hammond organ feet start. Very Camel. It's just a great track. Love it. Lenny Johnson. This feels something that could have been on either the Sgt. Pepper's or the White Album from the Beatles. It's got that feel to it. It's really, really good. For such a time, this is a nice, gentle track. Very radio friendly, but it's still classic. I love it. Lending a Hand. Love the start of this. It's got great keyboard and drums. Some nice, delicate bass work here from P and Ronnie. Terrific little track. And then we get some covers now. The first one is a Genesis track, and it is The Return of the Giant Hodgeweed. This is a great version of this. Pete's bass line is the highlight. Brilliant, brilliant version. Done this so much justice. Then again, they're more into Procol Harum, I think, because we get a great version of A Salty Dog. A lot of people have covered this, but this is the closest you'll get to the Procol Harum version. It is brilliant. Then we get a Beatles track called I Need You. This is a great version. It's a little bit different from the Beatles version, but it's still a very, very good interpretation. Okay, this next track is a cover of a Santana track, and it's Soul Sacrifice. This has got some great drumming on it. Remember, this track was played at Woodstock by Michael Shreves, who was 20 at the time, and Mike Portnoy does a great version of his drumming. It's a classic track. Love this track, and it's killer drumming for Mike Portnoy. What a way to end the album. Why is this my number one album? I think this is an album that they've taken elements from all those great prog bands of the 70s. It's just got great playing on this. There's lots of different sounds, and you can pick out, oh, that's what you used to get with Yes. And I think the covers on this are just amazing again. I think this is probably one of the greatest all-time prog albums. It's very underrated. You know, personally, I think this is just a combination of four guys that really love their prog music, and I think they're just paying homage to them great bands that they were listening to. I can only give this one a 1 mark, and that's 10 out of 10. It's just a brilliant album. Even with the, as I said, the covers. Every cover on these, all their albums are good. Normally I say, well, why they've covered that, I don't know, but they all do them justice. They are just a brilliant band. I am hoping that they will bring another album out, because they are just a superb band. Okay, that's all for this one. If you've never heard this band, go and check them out. I'll be back later with a classic album, and it's probably one of the only sort of grunge bands I do really like. It's Alice in Chains, and I'll be looking at their classic album Dirt. So join me for that. So bye for now, folks.